Hey guys, welcome back to the Curro Create Monologue Masterclass. I'm Paul the Toit.
And I'm Joshua the Toit.
And this is our second video, and today we're dealing with how to get to know the text. You do it by reading it. So take out your script so long. Now, one of the most important things is that you need to make notes on your script to remind yourself what it is that your choices are and what it is that you want to do. And this script, the words are way too small. You can't make notes on something like that. So, got a present for you. Type it all out as big as possible. And now, you're ready to make your notes in pencil. Because, specifically pencil, yeah, throw that away. We don't need that thing anymore. You're going to change your mind. You're going to try stuff out, and it's going to work, or maybe it's not going to work. So then you can change your mind. You can rub it out. And don't be worried about making mistakes. Rehearsal is all about that process. Trying out something, if it doesn't work, you'll gain something at least from that experience. An idea, a kernel of an idea you might use somewhere else. So be brave enough to make those mistakes. Have the courage to make a fool of yourself, because the rehearsal space is a safe one, and it's a sacred one, and it's for exactly that reason. So, we made the call last time in getting to know our text that you were going to deliver this in a South African accent. Move away from the Americanism. So then there are a couple of words that you need to change. So what were they?
Sack lunch.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, we changed to packed lunch.
Yeah, that. So write it down before we forget. The other thing, of course, part of getting to know your script is reading and making sure it fits within your timing. Now, that's obviously very important within this sort of competition setup of the monologues. So your time limit, your maximum is 3 minutes and the minimum is 90 seconds. And we've read it through. It's gone at about 2 minutes. I think you were going a little bit fast, and that's going to become a bit longer. So we can keep an eye on that. And if we need to cut a couple of sentences, especially things where it's a bit tautological, where it repeats itself, we can fly sections like that. But that we'll get to once we cross that bridge. Check out all the references and any words that you're not familiar with. So here we've got a couple of cultural references, like the Godzilla movies. Now, I actually know very little about it as well, to be honest. I haven't seen it. But this is a perfect excuse to go and watch it, because clearly the character delivering this monologue knows Godzilla. And so how you interact with that metaphor for a monster, that's going to, the more you know about Godzilla, the more that'll inform it. And that's the great thing about doing different plays and playing different characters, is you get to explore completely new worlds each time. I've researched everything from beekeeping to farming to walking in high heels, all sorts of things that they really enrich your lives, and that's the fun thing about acting and inhabiting these characters. You get to explore all the little things that make them tick. If it comes from a larger body of work, like a larger piece or a series of works. This one comes from a series called The Bully Plays. You would be well advised to go and read those works and read the rest of the work if it comes from, if it's an excerpt from a play. So definitely go and read Jose Cruz Gonzalez's other bully plays. You get to see how he treats the idea and the concept of bullying in a slightly different context through different characters, and you get to understand the writer better. You get to understand what they're saying
the
better.
Language and the usage of like punctuation and stuff. And
yeah, each writer has a very specific style. And the more familiar you are with that person's work, the better you'll be able to perform their plays. So what do you do if it's a standalone work? It's a monologue that just exists by itself, isn't part of a larger play. What can you do?
You could probably go and look online for, look up the author and get, as you said, get familiar with his style.
Yeah, you can read other works that he's done, or other works that pertain to the subject. Go and read other plays on bullying. You might just find something and go, oh, that's such a cool idea. The character does this. I could bring that to my character. That's for me the joy in finding characters is researching it as much as possible about them. So the important thing now also is you need to mark your script. As I touched on earlier, first thing we're going to look at is your pace and choosing where to put in pauses. Everyone's got their own different way of working with and making their notes. What I like to do to indicate a pause is I kind of use that / symbol like that. That sort of thing, just for an example. The more stripes, the longer the pause. One stripe is a short pause, kind of just like an in-breath. 2 is a little bit longer, and 3 is a huge, big, dramatic pause. The next question, can you change words in the script?
I think you can to a certain degree, but if you go past that line, if you step over that, you could end up changing the sentences and the meaning. Yeah, you
have to respect the integrity of the work and the author. But if a small change is justified, for instance, to change to Mommy's Boy, that I think is really not changing any meaning or changing the intention of the author, and it just makes it sit better in your mind.
It's basically the exact same word, just instead of mamas, we end off with mommies.
It's just the judge is suddenly going to see you go a mama's boy and go that's slightly odd, is it? I don't know. But as soon as you've got them thinking about something like that, they're not focused on your performance. So that is something to keep in mind. But then there's certain cases where you definitely won't change the words. You don't change the words of a poem unless there are very extenuating circumstances. But if you're going to do a Shakespearean sonnet, you're certainly not changing words. If you're doing an extract from Hamlet, you're most certainly not going to change it. So we've got some homework to do. And at this stage, it's read the play, and reread it. Eat, sleep, and breathe this piece. Take it with you to school, read it on the bus, read it while you're waiting to be picked up, read it in break time, because you're not allowed to play soccer anymore. Very good place to read. Very good place to read. But what you'll also find is as you become more and more familiar with it, within a couple of weeks' time when it comes to performing this, I'm telling you now, you won't have to sit down and learn it. It's going to be in there, or very close anyway. Because you don't want this to be a nightmare about trying to memorize. What I like to do is work through the entire rehearsal process. Doing your blocking, which is your movements, making your notes, performing it over and over and over again in the rehearsal period. And I'm telling you, by the end, you'll know the piece.
Good, if you make notes.
Right. This is just to try to show how messy a script can get. But seriously, guys, this is not going to be marked on neatness, okay? This is for your reference. Make your notes. Make your little marks, because these are your ideas. These are your choices. This is what you bring to the black and white words. And that's what lifts the performance off the page and onto the stage. Guys, Josh has got homework to do. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.
Bye.